Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Tuli Patel. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm delighted that you are all here. And welcome to our online participants. If you are watching us online, please introduce yourselves in the chat and let us know that you are joining us. Our service today is on the grounds of the Lenni Lenape, the original and continued lands of these indigenous peoples. We take a moment to acknowledge the land that we stand on so that our history can inform our present and get us excited about our future. 21 years ago, we gathered in a school gym, and 2 years ago, we couldn't meet in person to commemorate the anniversary of 9/11. We are grateful this morning to be able to gather in person and as well online through the magic and amazement of technology. Whatever you bring with you this morning, excitement over the first days of school, anxiety, sorrow, or elation, you are not alone. There is someone beside you, either watching online or in this room, sharing your experience. Joy and pain are closely woven, the warp and weft of this fabric of life. One way that we deepen our engagement with this tapestry of life is through our community groups, and the deadline for the community groups is coming up soon. It's on the 15th, so please, won't you sign up? The information is on our website. It gives me great joy, pleasure, it is my honor to introduce today Julica Hermann de la Fuente, who has been working with our congregation. That's what, yes. Many of us were in an all-day retreat with Julica yesterday, and it was a very full and exciting day. And if you are interested in engaging the 8th principle, which is the principle that highlights our commitment to anti-racism and anti-oppression and multiculturalism, you should sign up for the Widening the Circle team. And their information, if you don't know it, it's on the website. Just email me and I'll connect you on. For now, I invite you to take a deep breath, settle into the sacred hour, this time that we have devoted to our inner and spiritual lives. Let us begin our worship service.
Good morning. I'm Nicole Jacobson, your ministerial intern, she, her pronouns. Our chalice lighting is from our own Reverend Dr. Robin Tanner. Flame rises up across the centuries and floorboards, the microscopic and the mountainous. Eras end, monarchs die, and even the great extractions and oppressions, the monarchy too can shake loose from the land. The world turns, pandemics ripple their waves across the land, and we, like the birds at dawn, is she here again? Does the light return? Flames rise up, we cast shadows against the cave, to understand, to laugh, to celebrate, to mourn. Flames rise up, babies are cradled, we whisper promises into their ears. As sages watch the lick of flames, not all can be saved. Flames rise up, illuminating what can be and what we called to this spark, to magnify the light, the liberation, the love once more.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. number 1017 in your teal hymnal. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free of hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, the world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
It's not on. Sorry about that. Start again. As we begin our story for all ages, can someone tell me what's a blessing? Anyone? Anyone? What's a blessing? It's a good thing. Yes, it's a great thing. What else? A gift. A blessing is a gift. It's a good thing. What else is it? A wish. Excellent. Thank you all so much. How does it feel when you receive or give a blessing? Really good, right? Warm and nice and fuzzy, like I got a blessing. That's great. So where I come from, which is India, blessings only flow from older people to younger people. I'm still a little freaked out when like young people say, "You have my blessing," and I'm like, wait, what? So it goes something like this, and you would actually seek the blessing of a older person by touching their feet, right? So it might go like, oh, so I don't seek her blessing where I come from because I'm older than Robin. Robin has to seek my blessing. Go ahead, Robin. You are blessed. All right, there we go. Nicely done. But as Unitarian Universalists, we don't necessarily think that blessings only flow from older people to younger people, right? It goes in all multiple directions. In fact, I know that many of us in the room who are parents and guardians and adult guides often feel blessed by the young people that we are shepherding and caring for. So I might seek Robin's blessing. She is younger than me, I'll just say. Ready to bless me, Robin?
I am.
There we go. Excellent. All right.
So today is an exciting day because our children and youth are going to be beginning their small groups. Guiding them are special people, adults, and other youth. So if you are a child, there we go. Hello. If you are a child who is joining in our program today, we want you to come forward. And as you come forward, if you're in the balcony, you're going to get to come down the stairs and come right into this main floor sanctuary. And as you're doing so, I want to lift up something, because sometimes in some places, children are called forward, and there's tokenization that happens. It's let's ooh and ah over our children. But remember what Dr. Tooley just shared with us, right? That blessings can flow from elders to young people to children and in reverse. So we want our children to be able to see our community. I see there's a little hesitation. I get that. I wonder if Jermaine would come forward as we have some traveling music. Maybe a little more.
Your parent or guardian, you can do that too, right?
This next song is a modern English interpretation of an ancient biblical text called the Ve'ahavta, which means you shall love God with all your heart.
We're not done yet.
Thanks.
We'll sing and, yeah, we'll sing just one moment. Keep coming on forward. Yeah. And it's okay. It's okay if you don't feel like it, too. It's okay not to come forward.
So if you're here, you want to turn around and face so you can see your community. There you go, you're great. Yeah, perfect.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Come on in. Come on in, Ella. Come on in, Ariana. There you go. It's okay. If someone doesn't feel like coming, that's okay too. That's an okay choice. All right. So we want you to take a moment, because a lot of times you're seeing the backs of everyone's heads, and we want you to take a moment now and just look at the community here. See how you notice folks smiling even with their masks on? All right, we're going to share in a call and response blessing. So is the congregation ready? All right. Here is our blessing. May you be resilient. May you be confident. May you be compassionate. So we are blessed. All right, I want to ask our adult guides now to come forward. Adult guides, young adult guides, youth guides. All right, and I'm going to ask, we're going to do the blessing is going to come from our children. So you're going to be in the center, adult guides. Come on in the center. Come on in the center, adult guides. It feels a little different now that you had to come forward, huh? You're a little hesitant. All right. Come in the center. All right, and children, if we can, let's try to make a circle around these adults. Can we try that? It's a tight space. Here, I'm going to make some furniture moves. Here we go. Elias in the center. There you go. Lucy in the center. All right. Okay. And here is our collective blessing. So children, can you say these words with me? As best we can. All right. May you be open-hearted, patient, grounded, and may we magnify the light together. So we are blessed. Amen. Thank you so much, beloved. Thank you, everyone, for sharing in that blessing. You're excellent blessers. Could I call on you another day to help me with some blessing, maybe? No, never. Okay. It's good to know. It's good to be clear. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think some of our adults are saying that, too. Never call on me again to come forward. That's okay.
How do you follow that? I'm going to try. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dennis Mannion. I'm a member of our Beacon chaplain team. Our role as chaplains is to extend the spiritual care of our community. And one ritual of spiritual care is our community candle lighting. Together, we light candles of joy, sorrow, and gratitude. This morning, we light a candle, a memorial candle, on this September 11th for the people we lost, for their families, their friends, and the communities whose lives were altered forever on that tragic day. We light a candle of sorrow for all who are grieving loss of loved ones, people dealing with challenging health situations, acts of social injustice, or climate catastrophe. We light a candle of gratitude and celebration for the ordination yesterday of our very own Reverend Mary Early Zout. Congratulations to Reverend Mary. And for this and so much more, we invite you now to come forward to light a candle here in our sanctuary or on your home altar.
Love, only love, with all your heart. Love, only love, with all your soul. Listen to the wisdom inside and around you. You will remember as you're walking through the day. Make this world a better place. Children will learn, and their future will be love. Love, only love, with all your heart. Love, only love, with all your soul. Listen to the wisdom inside and around you. You will remember in your home and on your way. Make your life a voice of God. Be a sculptor for the holy. Be a doorway for love. Love, only love, with all your heart. Love, only love, with all your soul.
Would you breathe with me, beloved, if breath is a place of ease and centering? If it is not, I invite you to consider finding a place within or around to focus your attention. Here, listen for that rhythm beneath it all across days and nights, the rhythm that companioned you on your first day here on earth. Beloved, within and among where there is aching in our beings, the memories of 21 years ago, terror in the skies and mourning here, at a train station just blocks away, for those who never returned or were forever different, changed. In our sorrow still present, we carve from the ache and the pain a love that does not let go. A love that does not let go of one another, of this world, of the endurance of light at dawn, the endurance of the kindness we can inhabit and receive in a glance, in a word, in the abiding faithfulness of life, even now. Listen to the sounds of children in our midst, heralding a hope and filling the cup to overflowing. We acknowledge, yes, this day, 21 years ago, that was beautiful. And our sorrow so often woven with our joy, holding the beauty in the midst of the brutal, saying yes to love right now, beloved, in one more breath. Yes, to a love that lives in us, that widens the circle and knows it can never be diminished in its sharing. A love that in our mistakes unveils the miracles of being alive together. That in our journey unfolds wholeness and healing. In our yearning lets us echo out blessing. Blessing from bumbling badger to each brook and warren, to the mountains and to all beloved. From ordinary friends and once upon strangers. From lovers and children and generations long past. Share with me this blessing, this original blessing. Let these words echo in the chambers of your being, out far beyond the physical space in which we gather. I love you. We love you. I love you. We love you. Ashe and Amen.
I invite you to sing the Meditation on Breathing, which is in the Teal Hymnal number 1009. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Good morning, Beacon. My name is Hannah Hergenhan, and I've been a member of Beacon since 2014. Some of you may not recognize me, as we've been a bit absent over the pandemic between having a toddler and one very shortly on the way. My husband and I don't get out too much. I was asked today to speak on the theme of belonging, and immediately a topic came to mind. In the spring of this year, we were given the opportunity to host a Ukrainian family. Though their entire lives were being uprooted, they were very fortunate in unfortunate circumstances. They avoided the active conflict by fleeing to Cyprus in February, and the husband worked for a company based in the United States, transferring his employment from virtual to in-person, and they were relatively easily able to obtain visas for the whole family. Even with all of their resources, as I waited at the airport for them, I was thinking how frightened they must have been to be immigrating to a country that they've never visited and staying in a house of people that they've never met before. What I couldn't have anticipated is how incredibly seamlessly they would blend into life here and how much they made themselves belong, not only within our family, but in a completely new country. Within less than a week of being here, they went into New York City, saw the ocean, navigated shopping, the DMV, the Social Security office, which are no small feats for any of us. I was struck with the resilience that each one of them had, given the circumstances. They jumped right in and did whatever they could to build a life here, eventually getting an apartment of their own in mid-July. The older two boys just started school, and they're thriving. They have been absolutely family to us, and they so wanted stability and to belong here after being in transition so long with all of the uncertainty that their home country now faces. This experience has reinforced that you can belong anywhere, as long as you keep an open mind and heart and have a community that does the same. That's why I treasure Beacon. From the aid which many of you showed this family, which they are incredibly grateful for, to the inclusive message of our congregation and the generosity locally and around the world, I'm incredibly proud to belong to this community and to share in its story. Our stories matter, yours and mine. They help make us make meaning of our lives and the world around us. That's what a religious community does, grounds us in our values and reminds us that we are part of something larger than ourselves. Our mission comes alive in our stories. Now we move into a time where we give generously to magnify Beacon's light in our lives and in the world. In a minute, you'll see the ways in which you can contribute to Beacon. We invite you to lean into the practice of generosity. I know firsthand that it makes a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, and congratulations. Our morning offering will now be most gratefully received.
If you would like to open your hymnals to 1009, we will be singing "Oh, We Give Thanks" in just a few minutes. When joy comes back to me, I've been downhearted. I've been downhearted. I've been downhearted, but I won't be down for long. I wanna be ready. I wanna be ready. I wanna be ready. When joy comes back to me, I've been too long crying. I've been too long crying. I've been too long crying, but I ain't crying anymore. Everyone, I wanna be ready. I wanna be ready. I wanna be ready. When joy comes back to me, I've been surrounded by midnight. I've been surrounded by midnight. I've been surrounded by midnight, but the sun's gonna warm my face. I wanna be ready. I wanna be ready. I wanna be ready when joy comes back to me. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and thus far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and thus far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Wow, that was great. Our reading today comes from the poet, activist Aurora Levin Morales, entitled Vahafta. Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return, in times of mourning and in times of joy. Inscribe them on your doorpost, embroider them on your garments, tattoo them on your shoulders. Teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies. Recite them in your sleep, here in the cruel shadow of the empire. Another world is possible. Thus spoke the prophet Roque Dalton. All together, they have more death than we, but all together, we have more life than they. There is more bloody death in their hands than we could ever wield, unless we lie down our souls to become them, and then we will lose everything. So instead, imagine winning. This is your sacred task. This is your power. Imagine every detail of winning. the exact smell of the summer street in which no one has been shot. The muscles you have never unclenched from worry, gone soft as newborn skin. The sparkling taste of food when we know that no one on earth is hungry, that the beggars are fed, and that the old man under the bridge and the woman wrapping herself in thin sheets in the back seat of a car, and the children who suck on stones, nest under a flock of roofs that keep multiplying their shelter. Lean with all your being toward that day when the poor of the world shake down a rain of good fortune. Out of heavy clouds, justice rolls down like waters. Defend the world in which we win as if it were your child. It is your child. Defend it as if it were your lover. It is your lover. When you inhale and when you exhale, breathe the possibility of another world into the 37.2 trillion cells of your body until it shines with hope. Then imagine more. Imagine rape as unimaginable. Imagine war is scarcely credible rumor. That the crimes of our age, the grotesque inhumanities of greed, the sheer and astounding shamelessness of it, the vast fortunes made by stealing lives, the horrible normalcy it came to have, is unimaginable to our heirs, the generations of the free. Don't waver. Don't let despair sink in its sharp teeth into the throat with which you sing. Escalate your dreams. Make them burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark way, alleyway of history, and not lose your ground. Make them burn clear as a starry drinking gourd over the grim fog of exhaustion, and keep walking. Hold hands, share water, keep imagining, so that we and the children of our children's children may live. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Hello. I am so glad to be with you here today. And I am going to start my message by inviting you to play a game with me. It is called And Another Thing. And it's basically a verbal pile-on of all of the things that are ridiculous and hard and scary and frustrating and just no. We could also call this game I Just Can't Even. But the reason that we call it And Another Thing is because we say and another thing right before we're going to add something else to the pile. Yeah? Some of you might lean to your person or look behind you and share a quieter and another thing. Hopefully, some of you will engage with me and say and another thing more loudly and release it. Let it go. It is a cathartic exercise. And I would love it if it was a little cacophonous, if we were a little loud and talking over each other. You know what I'm saying? Like we're going to release some energy as we say and another thing. So I'm going to give you one moment to think about the things that you would like to release. Take a moment to review. It's not very hard, I don't think. I'm going to get us started. Ready? The pandemic broke my executive function. I used to be able to pretend like I had it together, but not anymore. And another thing. My dear friend lost her dad recently, and now her mom is sick. That's just not right. And another thing, is the pandemic really over? I mean, like, can I actually travel safely? What does safely mean? And another thing, I have too many emails. Too many. I don't want them anymore. And another thing, perimenopause. What? Like, no. Okay, now you. And another thing. Let me hear it. And another thing, food poisoning. Another school shooting. Right. Something about Facebook? Tired of Facebook. Yes, aren't we all? Yes. And another thing. Keep going. No more meetings. Too much time. Too much time. Yeah, that's right. Shake it out. Yeah. I hope that felt good. I hope you had a moment of feeling, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one grieving. I'm not the only one struggling to help my neurodiverse child navigate an educational system that is not set up for their success. I'm not the only one overwhelmed by the vast inequity, the sheer and astounding shamelessness of greed, the horrible normalcy of police brutality, of children in cages. Let's breathe in together, and let's breathe out with an audible sigh. Again. Thank you. That's why we come to church, to remind ourselves that we are not struggling alone, to have a community of fellow travelers, to harness the energy of the larger body, to feel connected, to have a place to belong. Belonging is at the center of what we do here. Our UU congregations are an antidote to all the other things. At its best, they are the place where we come to charge back up and make deeper meaning and find the next right action that gets us into good trouble and keeps us in good trouble. I think that the reason that there's comfort in doing and another thing together is that somewhere along the line, we were trained to believe that if we don't have it all figured out, if we don't have it all looking like Architectural Digest, Martha Stewart, Oprah Magazine, something, something, then we're doing something wrong. Well, I disagree. I don't think that's right. And another thing helps us see that all that we're trying to do is too much, and it allows us to break the facade. We have been holding ourselves to unreasonably high standards. We have trained ourselves to believe that we are only as good as what we produce and what we accomplish. And I want to explore that a little further with you. Why? Why do we create and try to live up to these unreasonable standards that have us living stressed and feeling insufficient, that separate us from other people, that create this feeling of frustration and isolation? And how do we strengthen our imagination muscles? How do we get better at the task of imagining winning? How and why did it get hard to challenge the status quo? Well, of course, it's always been hard because the status quo is set up to be that, the status quo, the way things are, the current state of affairs. And one of the ways that the status quo maintains itself, one of the tricks it uses to stay in place, is to give shape and limits to the stories that we tell and we are able to imagine. It is hard to imagine winning when you've never visited Wakanda. But once Wakanda becomes a possibility in your mind, in your imagination, other things become possible too. And for those of you who are not Marvel fans, I love you. We're still good. Wakanda is the land of the Black Panther, a place in Africa that was never enslaved or colonized. My heart grew a little bit bigger, and my imagination got a little more fierce after I watched that movie. I recommend it to you if you can tolerate violent action movies, because it is a violent action movie, but it's really good. Another way the status quo maintains its hold on us is by defining the parameters of what is good and moral in a way that keeps us focused on impossible individual achievements. I'm going to say more about this. I was lucky to study with Dr. Sharon Welch at Meadville Lombard Theological School. She is an ethicist, and she wrote a book entitled The Feminist Ethic of Risk. In this book, she analyzes and compares the definition of goodness across different social groups, particularly the way white people define goodness and morality, and how this compares to the way that African American womanist theologians and writers make sense of what is good and right and valuable. Dr. Welch looks at the way that African American women survive and thrive in the face of the intersection of racism and sexism. And what Dr. Welch found is that white folks have created what she calls an ethic of control. For white folks who are historically grounded in the white Protestant ethic of work, goodness is defined as the ability to control the outcome of their actions. The ethic of control says, in order to be a good person, I need to do good deeds and demonstrate my goodness through my actions. And it's not just my actions, it's the outcome of my actions. Consider the mythology of this country, the stories that we lift up to tell us what is good. Look at all the heroes. Heroes that singularly change everything. Some of you are old enough to remember that movie where Superman flies around the world in the opposite direction of its rotation to turn back time to rescue Lois Lane from the earthquake. Thank you, those of you who are old enough. Thank you. Right? Like turning back time by the speed of how quickly he's flying around, the ultimate power. But it's also Luke Skywalker. It's Harry Potter. It's Frodo. Yes, some of them have teams, some of them have people lifting them up, but the final moment is all about them and their strength, their capacity to use the Force and destroy the Death Star, or toss the ring back into the volcano, or whatever it is that they're supposed to do. All of these stories are teaching us that if we want to be good, we have to be heroic. We have to overcome overwhelming odds. And of course, when we compare our lives against these heroic stories, we always fall short. And let me add that the ethic of control is a way of being that many of us in the global majority have also bought into. As we have assimilated into white institutions in order to survive, we have also had a glass or two of that Kool-Aid. And we are also holding ourselves to these unreasonable, heroic standards. Maybe even higher standards, because our parents and grandparents taught us to work our tushies off and never give them a reason. The antidote to the ethic of control is what Sharon Welch calls the ethic of risk. The ethic of risk is what African American womanist theologians and writers identify as the way to successfully navigate the intersectional challenges of racism and sexism. The ethic of risk defines goodness as the capacity to take strategic risks in community. When we operate with an ethic of risk, we define what is moral and good as the ability to strategically choose the risks that we take together to move the needle and challenge the status quo. Many of you will recognize the Serenity Prayer by Reinhold Niebuhr that says, God grant me the courage to change what I can, the serenity to accept what I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? Well, Sharon Welch says that the ethic of risk takes us far from this prayer and this orientation. She writes, "The drive of moral life is that we can never know the difference between that which we can change and that which we cannot. Our challenge is to move creatively in a very different sort of adventure, one whose prayer is more like this: what improbable task with which unpredictable results shall we undertake today?" Let me read that again. What improbable task with which unpredictable results shall we undertake today? She writes, "In trading an ethic of control for an ethic of risk, and in living out this ethos, we can neither undo the past nor control the future. But we can learn from the past, and we can live creatively, responsibly, and compassionately in the present." Amen? Amen. Now, I personally learned a Mexican version of this ethic of risk, and it wasn't until a few years ago that I've come to realize how central it is to my theology and to my commitment to liberation and transformation. So I'm going to tell you the story of where and how I learned to live creatively, responsibly, and compassionately in the present. One of the places that I learned it is in this little tiny restaurant theater place called El Unicornio, the unicorn. It was this long, tiny little place. It was probably like a third of this room, tiny, with a stage at the end and long tables, and we would all eat communally. And it was like dinner theater, but instead of the traditional, what do you call it in dinner theater, musical theater performance, instead it was poetry and music. It was beautiful. And my favorite of all of these shows that I attended was Borges con Música. It was the poetry of Jorge Luis Borges, the Argentinian poet, and guitar music in between the poems. Heaven. And there was this part in this show where the main dude, his name was Germán de Esa. He was an important public figure in Mexico. He has since passed away, but I knew him and loved him dearly. He tells this allegory in this part of the show, and he says, Borges, the student, came to Borges, the teacher, and he asked, "What are the responsibilities of humankind?" And Borges, the teacher, said to Borges, the student, "Two are the responsibilities of humankind: to be joyful and to be just. And you cannot sacrifice joy for justice, and you cannot sacrifice justice for joy. It is at the intersection of the two that we find the greatest expression of ourselves." This intersection of joy and justice has become the center of my anti-racism work. On the one hand, we cannot continue to do anti-racism work in ways that make us feel guilty or bad about the ways that we have not been able to control the outcome of our actions. And I personally cannot and will not do anti-racism work from a place of anger and frustration, because that will make me sick and I will die. And I refuse to do that. I need to feel hopeful and joyful in order to imagine winning. I will not sacrifice joy for the sake of justice. And on the other hand, neither can we sacrifice justice for the sake of joy. We can't just binge on the next Netflix series and eat more popcorn. Because when we do, and when we're done with the binge, it's still there. The problem is still there, and all you have is some kind of hangover. Like, it doesn't really work to just try to use these superficial pleasures and numbing to try to get to joy. That doesn't work. The place of real satisfaction for me is this: I belong to a community that is making a difference, and I am doing my part by following what feels good and right in my body. I am taking good care of myself and pursuing the things that give me joy, because when I am joyful, I can do the work better. As my colleague Carol Cecil says, I serve from the saucer because my cup runneth over. I serve from the saucer because my cup runneth over. When I am joyful, my imagination is bigger. When I am joyful, I am more curious, more playful, more flexible. When I am joyful, I am already winning. I invite you to join me in this place of hope and possibility. I invite you to investigate your own personal intersection of joy and justice, the thing that you care deeply about, and the thing that you do well naturally and that makes you feel good. I will meet you at that intersection of those things, and we will keep taking risks together. Amen? Amen. Amen. Vamos. Let's sing When the Spirit Says Do, 1024 in the teal hymnal.
You got to do when the Spirit says do. You got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you got to do. Oh Lord, you got to do when the Spirit says do. Sing, you got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to sing. Oh Lord, you got to sing when the Spirit says sing. How about laugh? You got to laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You got to laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you got to laugh. Oh Lord, you got to laugh when the Spirit says laugh. Dance. You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you got to dance. Oh Lord, you got to dance when the Spirit says dance.
Yeah. These words from the Right Reverend Marta Valentin. In the intersection of joy and justice, down in the center between its twin leaves, where the moist murkiness is rife with possibilities, where the joy is shaking roots and vibrating bodies as it grows towards the luminosity that is liberation. Joy is pushing justice up through the tiniest aperture, pushing towards its blooming inevitability, pushing in such a tender and fierce way that justice has no choice but to erupt and burst into 1,000 seeds that send their joy to scout more joy, and together create a dark yet fulgent promise to honor both joy and justice, or none at all. Blessings, beloveds. Have a good week.
Amen. May the work I've done speak for me. May the work I've done speak for me. When I come to the end of this road and I lay down this heavy load, may the work I've done speak for me. Let the life I've lived speak for me. Let the life I've lived speak for me. When I come to the end of this road and I lay down this heavy load, let the life I've lived speak for me. Let the friends I've made speak for me. Let the friends I've made speak for me.
Let the love I've shared speak for me. Let the love I've shared speak for me. When I come to the end of this road and I lay down this heavy load, let the life I've lived speak for me. Let the friends I've made speak for me. Let the love I've shared